Nick Ferrari at breakfast on LBC. Call 0345 6060 973.
19 minutes after 8. Chancellor with us in the next 4 or 5 minutes or so, but let's get your views in on fuel duty. 57.95 is what it's set at, but we're paying a lot at the pumps. Youssef in Sheffield. Good morning.
Good morning, Nick.
Yes,
Hi. I basically pay per month. I usually paid about for my duty, fuel duty. For the fuel, I used to pay £45 a month. Now I'm paying over like £55 a week, basically.
Whoa!
So basically, yes, £55
wow, that's
a week.
Sorry, so when were you doing £45? How long ago was that?
That was around, I would say, 5-6 months ago, basically, because I commute. My work is 25 mile commute each way, basically, from
So
my
it's
work.
50, you do 50 miles a day, is that roughly?
Yeah, 50 miles a day, roughly, yes. So,
okay.
so that obviously the fuel just went astronomically up. And I was looking at the budget thinking, hopefully he might cut something out of fuel duty tax or whatever it is, just to make things easier for us. Instead, he's just frozen it. It's not good enough, basically, for us, people like us, really. And the worst thing about it is that, okay, I can understand the government wants a bit of money because they get a lot of money out of fuel, so they want to keep that money back. I can understand it. But surely they should just cut some taxes off us, just give us a bit of money back, really, because the prices are going up. Everything's expensive, really, and I'm looking for a bit of just a tax cut, just a bit of a tax cut, just to give a bit of money, because it's really expensive, basically, Nick, and it's just unfair, really. I mean, I don't.
Where are you finding that additional money from? That is a vast amount of increase to bear.
I mean, it's just going out of my pay packet, really. And as a result of this, my wife actually, she's a doctor, and I'm a teacher myself, and we are actually planning to immigrate to leave the UK early next year, because it's my wife just got a job offer abroad, really very nice income, better hours, and the Tories are making life very, very, instead of making life easier for us, they're squeezing us, basically, and as a result, we're basically moving abroad next year. So I was looking for tax cuts and just a bit of fuel, just to get a bit of the fuel price off our hands, really. But
and where is it you think you'll move to?
We're moving to Qatar, so we're moving to the Middle East.
Right.
So she got a job over there, and obviously in Qatar you don't pay any taxes. But
this is the thing. No British government will be able to match the tax situation in Qatar, of course.
But that's part of the problem, you see, Nick, because obviously we were planning to stay. We were planning to obviously live obviously in the UK, provided we had better working hours and if some bit of help from the government, not take our tax. I mean, we are looking for tax cuts. And obviously, Rishi Sunak is saying, you might have tax cuts before the election. Well, that's playing politics with our money, basically. Why wait until 3-4 years? Why can't you just do it now and make things life easier for us, really?
I don't know, but I very much doubt there's a national health service in Qatar.
Well, I mean,
if you live in a country,
right.
Look, for you and your wife, I absolutely get it, because you're going to, I would imagine, make considerably more money and probably have a better standard of living, and you won't be worrying about putting fuel in your car. But we have to be relevant and say that we do live in a country where we do offer extraordinary benefits, such as the NHS, and I would imagine, I don't know the level of state education in Qatar, I very much doubt there's a benefit system the like of which we have in the UK. So I guess that's the trade-off, is it, Youssef, do you think?
I do agree with you. Obviously, it's a trade-off. But for personally speaking, we paid off all our debt. I even paid off my student loans. I don't have any single amount of debt, me and my wife, basically. And we were thinking, we were thinking of buying a house here. Obviously, we, as Muslims, we don't have, interest. We don't believe in interest, so we were thinking of buying the house outright, basically. But then we realized, hold on a minute, my wife was working long hours, basically. Obviously, as a GP, things are very hard these days because she works in out of hours, so she actually prefers seeing people. But the problem is that she's getting disrespected. It's abuse is always there. People are always fed up because people are waiting hours and hours for appointments. So she thought, why go through all this hassle? Why not just look abroad, really? And obviously, the first opportunity came and she jumped on it. So
just lastly, do you mind asking, just out of interest, when you last filled up, can you remember what you paid per litre?
£1, £1.49, I think. £1.49.
Is that petrol or diesel?
Petrol.
That's a petrol car. All right, well, I hope you don't go, but it's difficult for me to make an argument why you shouldn't go. I can understand exactly why you feel the way you do, so thank you for your call on that. Let's allow some of the text, tweets and emails coming in on this. In fact, I was just asking the price there of Youssef. Rez says, Shell V-Power, £1.62 yesterday. It's incredible. I run a 4.4 V8 petrol car. Man, you should have a tanker driving behind you. I love it to death, and I won't sell it, but why on earth do we pay so much for everything in this country? Let's stay with that fuel aspect a little bit more. Paul in Chalfont St Giles. Of course, the Chancellor could cancel proposed fuel duty increase because he's got more VAT on petrol and diesel every time it goes up. More broadly, the reaction to the budget. This comes in from Philip. This is driving me crazy, says Philip. Labour callers complaining about not being better off in this budget. What they have to ask themselves would it be if I had a job today, if the Chancellor hadn't given billions in loans and grants last year. The housing market is showing how people have saved thousands by working from home at the government's expense. Coming down to the details of it, the minutiae. Tim in London, in relation to the beer, I part-own a brewery. CO2 has just gone up. We were paying CO2 £1.70. Oh, CO2 for the production of beer. I'm so sorry. We're paying £170 a tonne now. Gosh, it's £600. Fuel costs have gone up for the boiler. 35p this time. Last year, 65p now. Malt has gone up by nearly £100 a tonne. Beer will not go down. We have no option but to put the price up. Thank you for that. Charlie in Brighton. Hello, Charlie.
Hello, how you doing, Nick?
I'm all right. You're on the radio.
I am. I'm just on my way to pick up a doggy. I'm a dog walker.
Oh, right,
so
good.
I need my van every day.
Right.
So, of course, filling my van up is just getting more and more extortionate. I'm paying, I think it's 147, 148. And in the pandemic, I was still working.
Right.
And I was filling my van up, and I think it was about £35 for a full tank.
Right.
It's now about £65, £70. So it's a huge...
So how do you are you able to pass that on to your clients? How does that work? How do you balance the books?
Well, I just have to make things stretch because, I did have a little pay increase for my customers, but I can't keep doing that because they've got that as well. They've got to pay things and things increase for them. So I've just got to make money stretch. You have to cut your cloth accordingly, don't you?
You do, but
So,
how difficult is that getting?
It's getting difficult, yeah. It is getting difficult. I mean, I've not had a break for over 2.5 years because I'm constantly working. So it just gets really difficult. So all the little things that make life a bit easier, you have to sort of cut out. But I need to keep working, and I love my job. So,
Are you?
yeah.
Will you pick up benefits anywhere else? Do you imagine from the budget? That is anything coming your way that might help you? I don't know. Do you like the occasional glass of beer or wine or whatever?
Just about to say glass of prosecco. Yes, that's going to be a bit cheaper now, isn't it? So that Friday evening might be a little bit easier for me, but not really. For the things really matter, the everyday things. I mean. It's just, it's really, really difficult for the fuel duty, especially for guys like us that need their cars, vans, vehicles every day. Yeah.
Good luck with the business that you run. Thank you for that, Charlie. Fred in New Malden. Fred, what can you tell me? Good morning.
I paid £8 for 5 litres the weekend.
What? Hang on. £8. So how much is that? One something a litre?
Yeah, well, I bought two petrol cans because I've got an old Lambretta that needs the E5.
Right.
They've got a new E5 with some additive, and it was £16.
Sorry, so is this an old? This is a car that can't take. Sorry, that can't take unleaded, is it? Sorry, or bike.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
It's a 1960s Lambretta.
Right, I'm sorry, motorbike. Okay, so you have to have what would almost be like leaded petrol, effectively.
Yeah, or super unleaded, but I put
Super
the new
unleaded,
E5 in.
Right.
With the additive.
Right.
And it's £8 for 5 litres.
So, sorry, what does that mean per litre? I can't do the maths of the drama. It's about one something or other, isn't it?
Yeah, but that's the most ever. That's ridiculous.
Right, okay. And what does that mean for you? So, what economies do you need to make?
Well, just come down. But I went back in and checked it and said to him, "Are you sure you've got it right?"
And
he said, "Yeah, because it's the new additive in it, in the E5."
And that's what's made it that much. Fred, thank you for that. Lazarus in Chigwell. Lazarus, your reaction to this fuel problem. Good morning.
Morning, Nick.
Hello.
Long-time listener. Brilliant show as always.
Great to have you on,
Thanks
Lazarus.
for having me on your show.
I apologise in advance. I might have to say farewell, but we'll get you back because I'm waiting for the chance to come on the end of the line. But go ahead, sir. Thank you.
Okay, I've only got a brief point to make anyway.
Yep.
I was only going to say, I mean, I used to pay £600, over £600 on fuel every month in the job that I do. But obviously 4 months ago, I switched to electric, and now my bill is basically just dropped to £80 a month. So I'm just basically loving everything as it's going, especially on the fact that I'm not really paying for fuel anymore. That's all I was going to say.
So did you say you're loving it? Did you say?
Oh yes, especially the fact that I've switched to electric. Yes.
Right. Okay.
Definitely,
And
because my bill is
have you been
basically
able to work out the savings?
about 80%, 80 to 90% roughly.
Sorry, 80% or £80? Which was it?
80%.
80%. Well, you're having your best life, aren't you? Chuckling away there. Lazarus, well done. Congratulations to you. Let's read a couple of... No, I don't need to read emails because I can say that we're delighted to say we're joined by Chancellor of the Exchequer, Rishi Sunak, on the end of the line now. Good morning to you, Chancellor. Thank you for coming on. Perhaps I can borrow a line from the Financial Times this morning from the journalist Henry Mance, who says that the British people may have thought their concerns were soaring gas prices, waiting lists, climate change and education. But in fact, Chancellor, we need to worry about the cost of champagne. Some would say your budget is pro-secco and against the working man. Chancellor, good morning.
Good morning. What is it? Well, rising gas prices. We froze fuel duty for the 12th year in a row. Waiting lists. We already announced a plan a couple of months ago to get extra money into the NHS to tackle the waiting list with, I think, the biggest investment the NHS has seen with a new dedicated health and social care levy. And in terms of helping the working man, we cut taxes yesterday for millions of people in the lowest pay. So I think actually on all the things you mentioned, yesterday's budget delivered strong action.
But do you think they really will be celebrating north of the Red Wall because of the cost of Prosecco coming down, Chancellor?
Actually, I'm in the north at the moment. I'm speaking to you from Bury at the world-famous market here, which was a benefit of our Levelling Up Fund, actually. So we announced the Levelling Up Fund last year. That's to get money into communities across the country, whether it's in the north, whether it's in the southwest or wherever, to help regenerate areas. They're happy here. They're celebrating about that, as they rightly should be. And that's what this government is about, levelling up everywhere. And let's talk about Prosecco for a second, actually, because
I don't believe you drink it, Chancellor, do you?
Well, I don't, but I've learned a lot more about all of these things over the last 6 months. So we have a system that it makes absolutely no sense. And we currently tax sparkling wines like Prosecco 28% more than still wines, even if they have the same alcohol content. Now that we've left the EU, we have the freedom to design a much better system of taxing alcohol. And the system we've come up with has got simple principle. The higher the strength, the higher the rate. And it's a simpler, fairer, healthier system. It's also going to support pubs because we're going to have a new lower rate of duty for draft beer and cider in pubs to support pubs, which is great. And you know what? Prosecco sales, sparkling wine sales in this country have doubled in the last 5 years. They are not the preserve of wealthy elites, and I think actually it's totally misunderstanding the country to say that they are. You know, one of the most popular things is for example, Canty Prosecco or I Heart Prosecco. It's about £7.50 a bottle, and lots of us, not me obviously, but as a non-drinker, but you know, I think when good things happen in our life, we want to celebrate with something, and being able to cut 80 odd p off that bottle, I think is meaningful and is just the fair and simple thing to do.
Chancellor, turning to the broader picture, one of your predecessors, Norman Lamont, writes in a newspaper today, the Daily Mail, that is a very welcome budget, but you're harnessing a lot of it, the stock of debt as against the GDP. If your predictions are right, the debt will start to stabilise and fall, but we need growth in our economy, and some figures suggest there will be no growth. Could you find yourself being a hostage to fortune?
Well, I haven't read the article, but I think Norman is right in the sense our debt to GDP is at a high level as a result of what's happened to the economy.
But you'll only get it down if growth grows, of course. This
months.
Is the concern, isn't it?
Yeah, and the forecasts yesterday by our independent forecaster show that that's one of our new fiscal rules, is that debt should be falling over the medium term. They've said that it will be, and we're meeting that rule with a little bit of a buffer to deal with, as you said. Look, there are unexpected things that happen. There are challenges that we know are on the horizon, and we want to make sure we have some resilience and protection against them. We've created a bit of a buffer to do that. But you're right, the best way is to grow the economy, and our plan to do that is by investing in infrastructure, innovation and skills. And if we do those three things, I'm confident that we can drive up our growth and hopefully continue to do the things that we did yesterday, which is invest in public services and support working families and businesses.
But they come with the highest level of taxation we've seen in 60 plus years.
They do, and as I acknowledged, very
happy, Mr. Sunak.
No, well, I think anyone who saw my speech yesterday would have seen my thoughts on that. I was very open about that. It's not something that I'm comfortable or happy about, but it is largely the consequence of us suffering the worst economic shock in 300 years and our response to that. All the numbers yesterday showed that our plan, by the way, has worked. The economy is recovering faster than anyone thought. Far fewer people out of work, record numbers of job vacancies. That stuff doesn't happen by accident. Actually, it was described, our plan yesterday, as remarkably successful. And it's because of that we were able to then now invest in public services and support families and businesses. But look, on the taxes, I was very clear. I want to see taxes coming down, not going up. My mission over this parliament is to do that. We took a first step on that journey yesterday by cutting taxes for millions of the lowest paid. That is a reflection of my values, our government's values. We believe in rewarding work. We want work to pay. And as I said yesterday, we delivered that for millions of the lowest paid in this country.
But for that growth to come about, of course, we need business to perform. And you'll be aware we're living in a country where business rates are 3 times that what they would be averaging at the OECD. Shouldn't there have been more relief there?
Well, yesterday, Nick, we announced the biggest one-year tax cut in business rates in 30 years of the business rate system.
But it's still
and
a
that
very
means
high
that
level. Sorry to talk over you, but it's a very high level, Chancellor.
Yeah, I mean, look, I think it's wrong to look in isolation at any one tax, because you have to look, every country structures their tax regime slightly differently. That we also have the lowest corporation tax rate in the G7 and the fourth or fifth lowest in the G20. No, but even after the rise, it's still the lowest in the G7 and the fourth or fifth lowest in the G20. Well, so I say you've got to look at all the taxes in the round.
If I'm building a Guinness plant, respectfully, Chancellor, I'm going to go to Dublin, not Belfast, aren't I?
Well, actually, we've done a lot for pubs, brewers, and alcohol yesterday. But let me on this business rates point, because it's really important. Because you'll have listeners who run pubs, run restaurants, cafes, small shops on high streets. Next year, all of them are going to. All of them are going to see a 50% cut on their business rates bill, up to £110,000. So 9 out of 10 retail, hospitality and leisure businesses will see at least a 50% discount. That's a tax cut worth £1.7 billion. It's the biggest tax cut in business rates outside of coronavirus for 30 years. And we're also doing some other things to encourage people to invest. So we've got some new tax reliefs for a hotel that's adding more rooms, a shop that's mezzanine level, an office that's putting in a bike rack or CCTV. We're going to have business rates holidays for 12 months for all those things to incentivise growth.
But what would appear to be, Chancellor, a high tax, high spending economy absolutely hinged on productivity, that doesn't sound hugely conservative, does it? High tax, high spend, is that Tory?
Well, I think it is entirely conservative to want to cut taxes for people and cut taxes on people's work.
But
and
they are high, as I've said
budget, well, they're higher as a result of what's happened to us over the past 12 to 18 months. We've just discussed, and as I said yesterday, that's not something that makes me happy. It's not something I'm comfortable with. I want to reduce taxes on people. I can't help the fact that we've suffered a once in 300-year economic shock, and we responded rightly in a way that protected the economy for the future. But we are delivering, we were elected to deliver an ambitious programme of investment in public services, whether that's more nurses, more police officers, levelling up across the country. Yesterday's budget delivered on that. The Prime Minister talked about that when he was first elected. He talked about it on the steps of Downing Street. Yesterday's...
Can you hear me, Chancellor? I feel we might have lost the line. Can you hear me, Rishi Sunak? Can you hear me? No? He's back. Mr.
Hello?
Hello, Chancellor. Yes. Sorry, before we lose the line totally, we did get you up until that point. I'm terribly sorry.
But it is conservative to be cutting taxes for people on low incomes, and that's what yesterday's budget did.
Just another minute with you. I have to put you, of course. You had to appear yesterday on the day that we learnt, and this is not your department, but that this government, of which you are a senior member, had effectively wasted £37 billion on a test and trace system that was extortionately expensive, muddled and misleading. Why should we afford your government, not you personally, any fiscal competence? Chancellor.
I haven't...
Extraordinary. It's timing. Can you hear me, Chancellor? No, we're not. What a nuisance. That was the one we wanted to get. That's one last time, Chancellor Rishi Sunak. It's not going to happen.
Hello?
Hello, sir. Yes. No. Let's leave it. OK, that was the Chancellor of the Exchequer, unable to answer that final question. 8:38. Let's get an LBC News update. Simon Conway.
Rishi Sunak has told LBC it's his mission over this Parliament to see taxes come down and not go up. Following the Chancellor's budget yesterday, it's forecast the overall tax burden in